Hello and welcome to episode 39 of the Paper Crane Yarns Knitting Podcast. My name is Ashley and I am a yarn store owner, a yarn and fiber dyer, and a project bag maker. And I'm coming to you today from my yarn store, which is located in Central Alabama, USA. Thank you for tuning in today to spend some time with me as I talk about my crafts, what I've been up to over the past month, because it has been a month since I was last here to share. And of course, I have plenty of things to show you. So today I have lots of knitting, mostly knitted finished objects. I have spinning progress. I have a few skeins of handspun that are done. And I have cross stitch, of course. So yeah, lots of stuff to share with you today. A very big thank you to for a couple of things. Okay, first of all, my channel finally hit 2,000 subscribers, which is pretty cool because I've actually been on YouTube for, I think, over 3 years. Probably, we're going on 4 years, I think. And it's been a slow burn for me, which honestly it's been a comfortable pace, so I'm happy for that. But I am really excited to have hit 2,000 subscribers. So thank you so much. And I think I have Amber at The Lovely Yarn to thank for sending so many of you my way. I have been watching Amber's channel from A Lovely Yarn. I've been watching Amber's channel for many years, actually. And my last episode, she happened to see it and left me a comment, which was very exciting. I've been, again, watching her for years. And so I feel like I know her and her projects pretty well. And yeah, so that was really awesome. And then she, in one of her recent videos, she said the sweetest things about me. And so thank you so much, Amber. And after that video, I did have lots of people come over. So hello and welcome to my little community if you're coming over from Amber's. I also want to say a quick thank you to Elizabeth from Elizabeth and Can Stitch, because she made a fun video yesterday, I think, where she did a bit of a Q&A, and then she did an update on some of her projects, including knitting. And she's currently knitting up one of my favorite sock sets that I've ever dyed, my Shihiro sock set. And so she gave me a quick little shout out. So thank you, Elizabeth. I hope that you can perhaps get those socks done before the Nashville market next year, because then maybe we can both wear them and be twins. Just throwing that out there. Nothing else of note has really happened, but this weekend, I'm elated and ecstatic because on Sunday, I finally get to see the Stardew Valley Festival of Seasons concert, which I have been waiting for months. So that is finally happening. It's finally happening in Atlanta this weekend. And so I get to go to that. And I'm just so excited. I'll be casting on a special Stardew Valley themed project to take along. So yeah, lots to look forward to. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into my knitted finished objects. I'll start with what I'm wearing, which is Misurina by Caitlin Hunter. I cast this on, I think, in June, and I just finished it a couple days ago. So this was like a slow but steady kind of whip for me. Once I got through the yoke, the rest of the sweater was done in maybe a day, but I really took my time with the yoke, and I'm just so happy that I made this gorgeous project. So I used these two colorways. My main color is Muckross by Explore Knits and Fibers, And then my contrast color, this was a skein from my stash. This is from Treehouse Knits, one of my favorite dyers. It is called Spring Equinox, and this was from a 5 skein spring fade set that I got from them last year, and I hadn't used it yet, so I used it as my contrast in this sweater since they were both 2-ply fingering weight yarns, and I think it turned out beautifully. So it's a very high contrast color work, which is what I prefer, and a very easy pattern. I think when I last recorded, I had just kind of started the yoke, and I had done something silly where I had to restart. Back to basically the short rows, because as I was knitting the colorwork chart, I was using my iPad Knit Companion to look at the chart, and I didn't slide over far enough to realize there was a separate little chart with this column for the cabled stitches, and I had forgotten that in the project photo, the pattern photo, that there were cables, so I just overlooked that chart completely, and I was knitting this, just going along in the round with these flower motifs right up next to each other, and I knew that it was too good to be true because it was knitting up so quickly. So when I jostled the screen and realized that I was missing a whole little chart, I ripped back, but no big deal, it's done now. There are a couple of finishing options for this sweater. So for the body, my version looks slightly different from Caitlin Hunter's pattern photo. She gives instructions for doing either this eyelet body pattern, or you can do these little purl bumps, which I did in the sleeves. That'll give you an idea of the fabric. And what's funny is when I decided to do the eyelet charts, I just assumed that's what Caitlin Hunter had done in her pattern photo, and I did the first little round of eyelets, and when I was like thinking this didn't look quite the same, so when I referred back to her photo, I realized she had done the other fabric, and so I actually kind of wish I would have done this, but I will say, with this being a 100% wool sweater, or it's an 80-20 blend, I think, so with this being a mostly wool t-shirt, I'm kind of glad that I did the eyelets because there's lots of positive ease, and with the eyelets and the short sleeves, it's actually cool enough that I managed to wear it yesterday, and like in the 90-degree weather, so that worked out, I guess. But yeah, I did the eyelet option. It is a crop top with, again, these short sleeves. There is a lace pattern that goes around the yoke before you start the colorwork. My microphone is kind of blocking some of it, and so is my tank top, but hopefully you can sort of see that beautiful lace in there. Here are the colorwork motifs, and then the little cable column, and then the eyelets. So I really enjoyed knitting this. It was, again, very straightforward, very simple. I have to say, I think all in all, I must have had a bit of a tight gauge because I actually knit a size bigger than I would have needed. I think I knit the size 3, and I definitely do not have the measurements of a size 3. Anyway, it's a little bit smaller than the size 3 should have been. So I definitely had a tight gauge, and that was probably mostly my color work. So when I blocked it, it did definitely block out a bit, but I am planning on blocking it one more time because I can tell that the eyelet rows still have lots of space to give. I went kind of easy on the body when I was, again, blocking it because I knew that it could grow quite a bit. So I wanted to sort of block the yoke more aggressively, block the body gently, and then just sort of see how it looked before I blocked it again. And I definitely would like a little bit more length. So mine hits right here at like my natural waist, which is cute. Definitely probably look cuter with something different on the bottom, but yeah, so I just want a little bit more length. But that's Misurina by Caitlin Hunter, and I would definitely consider knitting this one again. So I actually have 3 more garments to show you. I'll start with the sweater that's next to me before I take these little guys off of the hangers up there. And this was another work in progress the last time that I recorded. And I finished this one up maybe a couple of weeks ago. This is Neon Nectar by Wool and Pine Designs, and I will change into it for you to see. But I'll go ahead and kind of give you an idea of the drape and fabric. Okay, I just sneezed. Sorry. This is Neon Nectar by Wool and Pine Designs. It's absolutely adorable. I feel like a strawberry cupcake in this sweatshirt style sweater. I love the yarn for this. This has to be the softest knit that I have made that doesn't include like something fuzzy held double. It's just so comfy. And I think it's perfect for this design specifically because, so whereas my Misurina was slightly too small with my gauge, my Neon Nectar was slightly bigger with my gauge. So this one I did measure the gauge after it was all blocked. And this is an example of a superwash yarn that grew quite a bit, I think. So my stitch gauge, I was off by 2 stitches per 4 inches. So overall, when I measured it like pit to pit, when I laid it out flat, I think I actually only had 2 additional inches of positive ease versus what I should have achieved with the size 2. And then of course the size 2 already had some ease built into it, which is why I picked that size. So I definitely have more than 2 inches of positive ease, as you can see everywhere. But I'm actually quite happy with it because I have so many really pretty, lacy, mohair, gorgeous sweaters in my wardrobe. And I don't really have, for my current wardrobe, I don't really have like a sweatshirt style knit, something comfortable that you can just throw on at any time and still feel cute, but you know, you're not putting together a whole ensemble with a beautiful knitted piece. It's just cozy and beautiful for the sake of itself, if that makes sense. When I first started knitting, I made a couple of Felix pullovers out of Let Lopi, and I did a gray one and a brown one, and I really like them, but I feel like they just don't kind of match my current, they don't match my current style maybe as well as they did then. So, and this is way softer. So anyway, I'm just excited to have this as a little sweatshirt. But let me stand up and kind of give you an idea of the overall shape, and then we'll talk a little bit about the construction because it was a fun sort of unique construction. So as you can see, this one is a little bit cropped. The ribbing at the bottom is meant to kind of really bring in that hem, but with my gauge being off, it does bring it in slightly, so it does certainly add some shape to the garment, but it is a little bit bigger than it should have been. But again, I still like it. It's kind of, I think I wanted it to be a little bit tighter to help balance out the oversized nature of the drop shoulder and whatnot. But it will be really nice to have, again, something that's just sort of cozy, not right up against my skin, and I can pair this with jeans and yoga pants and all kinds of things. It'll definitely look pretty over dresses too. And you know what? I never said what the yarn was. This is the Wandering Flock in the Merino DK base, and the colorway is called Hundreds and Thousands, which means sprinkles, which I love. Hence part of why I feel like a cupcake. So this one definitely had a lot of shaping. This is a top-down sweater, but it definitely had a lot of shaping that went into the shoulder part, and there is this sort of slip stitch, almost like a rib detail down the sleeves and down the front and back. And so the shoulders were interesting. So this is definitely one of those sweaters where the upper shaping, there's quite a bit going on with the shoulders to give it like the drop shoulder effect and to build up all the fabric, and again the shaping element to it. So there was a lot of like casting on and working this set of shoulder stitches on the front, and then casting on or picking up and working this set of shoulder stitches on the other side of the front, and then the back and the back, and so on and so forth. So there was kind of always something to work on, and it wasn't until I got past the shoulder aspect it wasn't until then that I just kind of got that stockinette in the round sweater knitting. And the sleeves were, again, very straightforward. There are decreases, but it was easy to memorize, very simple. Again, this is like a slip stitch detail here. Now, as I mentioned, this yarn grew a lot. So as I was knitting this, I knew that this drop shoulder would stretch out or grow when I blocked it, and I knew that the sleeves would as well, but they certainly did. So they're really long, but it didn't feel like I was knitting them for a long time. So I think it's probably a normal length sleeve. It really is. But the drop shoulder aspect is so wide that it makes the sleeve extra long. So I have to fold it over, which I actually think is pretty cute. So I'm not complaining about that. I actually bought this yarn at Wool & Folk in 2023. This was the only yarn that I managed to walk away with at that event. So I'm glad to have gone ahead and knit it. Since I bought that in October, it was kind of just sitting around for a while. I bought 4 skeins, and I used up almost exactly 4 skeins, which is nice. I'm glad that I didn't really have any leftovers. So that's my neon Nectar. I should probably get a little closer so you can see this gorgeous fabric. And 2 other things that just occurred to me. I think the neckline looks really nice and neat. It's a picked up neckline. And in these kinds of patterns, I've found that the designers usually have you pick up and knit the neckline last, but I actually like to do that before I add the sleeves, because I feel like it's hard to gauge if I'm happy with the sleeves, if I'm happy with the body length and all of that until I have the little neckline on, because it doesn't have that visual appeal. It's like that raw rolled stockinette neckline. It always feels like, well, it might end up sitting a little bit higher once I have the neckline on, so I want to make sure the sleeves are right. So anyway, I modified the pattern by doing the neckline first. And the other thing, and this is super fun, the yellow, I think it's the yellow speckles in this fabric, and it may be the blue, are blacklight reactive. So my husband and I got to go on a date night recently, and one of my favorite dates is going to the arcade, and there's an arcade near us that has black lights everywhere, and I brought this with me to the arcade to knit on while we were playing like games together, and it's his turn. Point being that when I pulled it out to knit on it under the black light, I realized it was reactive, which is very exciting. So in the fall, I look forward to doing like cosmic bowling or something and wearing my fun blacklight reflective sweater. Okay, so that's enough for that one. So the next finished object I have is another garment, and then I have one more after this. But this one is called the Sea Salt Tank by Marcena Kolacek. And this is from her new pattern collection called Sydney Summer Knits. She's doing a knit along for those designs right now. And they all just spoke to me. She's one of my absolute favorite designers. She has some of the most romantic, gorgeous designs. And this is no exception. So I went ahead and knit this one up. I haven't even been active in the Ravelry like I'm supposed to, so I haven't shared this at all with the knit along group. I need to get in there and make sure I share this with them. But I cast this on, I think, the day that the pattern book came out, and it was a very fast knit, except for I have just a few little tales of woe to share. But first I'll mention that the yarn for this is Sadness Garn Tin Linna, and it's 2 strands held double. So of course they make a DK weight version of that yarn just called Lena, but she used 2 strands held double for her version, and she had a little note in the pattern book that you could just use the DK, but she thought that with this stitch pattern, the 2 strands looked better. And I think what she's kind of saying is maybe right here where there's these eyelet looking sections, you see the strands on each row, and so having the 2 makes it a little bit more detailed. So I'm going to assume that's kind of why she suggested to do 2 strands. So I just went ahead and did that. And this is everything I have left of the 2 balls that I was last working with. So this is the colorway Bubblegum Pink, and I actually carry Sadness Garn Tin Linna in my shop. So if you are looking for somewhere to get Tin Linna, you can get it on my website at papercraneyarns.com. I'm actually almost out of this colorway though, because this has been the best seller in the shop, and I totally get why. It's very pretty. So I did actually have a little bit more than this left, but I ended up having to redo the I-cords around the armholes. I did that today. I-cord actually takes up a good bit of yarn. So all in all, I used 4 skeins total for this. Each one is 50 grams. So this is less than 200 grams, but I probably had 50 grams or so left over until I redid the I-cord. So if you're making the size 2 or smaller, you may only need 3 balls. Yeah, I probably could have gotten away with 3 balls and just winding 1 into 2 cakes. But anyway, that's besides the point. So again, this is the sea salt tank, and I will put it on in a moment to show you. So the other tale of woe. So the 2 kind of things that I struggled with this one. This is a bottom-up design. So you actually start with quite a few stitches because you're knitting this gorgeous scalloped edge. It almost looks like crochet. It makes me think of like the virus stitch in crochet. And when I first cast this on, I cast on the size 3. And I think it's because I was apprehensive about having something fitted. And in retrospect, I wish that I would have actually made the size 1. So I ended up with the size 2. Because with the size 3, because there were so many stitches, I actually, when I joined in the round, I had twisted them, and I had knit up to about here. So I had done all of this to, I think I was on the 2nd repeat of this chart before I realized that it was twisted. And the reason being that I was using pretty short cables. So I was working very closely. All the stitches were very close together in the round. And so it wasn't until I made a decent amount of progress that I realized that it was twisted. So that was pretty sad. So then I went ahead and just immediately cast it on again. So the only advantage of that situation, because I tried to look on the bright side, was it turned out that size 3 was going to be much too big for me. So when I took it off of the needles to check if it was actually twisted, I put it on barber cords, and it was. I was able to hold it out, and I realized just how wide it was, which I couldn't tell previously since it was bunched up. And so I saved myself from knitting a whole tank top only to find out at the very end that it was too big. So I had gotten stitch gauge. I had gotten gauge with these yarns and the needles and everything, but it was just the wrong size for me. So I was able to cast on again for a smaller size, and this one fits me much better, although it's still actually bigger than I hoped. So if I make this one again, which I am considering it because I really like it and I love the yarn, I'll have to go down in size again. But it was a fast knit. I got it done in maybe 4 days, and that was with all of the sort of drama that I had going on with this one. What was kind of annoying was when I was casting this one on again, every time I joined it in the round, it was maybe 2 or 3 more times, I kept twisting the cast on. I don't think I've done that since the first couple of months of me knitting. I don't know what it was about this pattern. Maybe it was just because there were so many stitches, but it was just a long tail cast on, so it just wasn't computing, and I kept twisting it. But anyway, obviously it's fine. I got it all done, so we're great there. And I went ahead and wore it on Saturday for knitting group here at my shop, and then I was wearing it today because I thought I would record in it, but I had been feeling pretty dissatisfied with the size of the armholes this whole time, and I thought if I ripped out the I-cord edging, because you have like an I-cord edging where you pick up around the armhole and you just do an I-cord bind off, and so it's nice and neat and sturdy. I thought if I did that, if I redid it, that it would help to bring up the whole sweater, because part of what's wrong with the length of it, I think, it definitely doesn't fit me the way that Marcena's does in her sample photos. Hers is very beautiful. It's very tailored to her waist, and she's pairing it with like a really like pretty shorts and just looks fantastic on her. But mine is a little bit longer, so it's still very cute, but it doesn't pair well with shorts the way that I was hoping it would, or something a little bit more high-waisted, because it doesn't hit me at the waist, so it ends up looking just really long and not very tailored. So that, again, when I tried it on and I was sort of grabbing the fabric and holding it up, I kind of thought that it would bring up the rest of the sweater. And I think, so I ripped out both the I-cords and I went down 2 or 3 needle sizes and knit them again. And while they do look way neater, because before they were actually, it was like a dense I-cord because the stitches were so big and it was all wavy and just, it did not look very nice at all. So it did fix that problem. Now it looks nice and neat and much tighter and neater, but it did not lift the sweater at all. So I think the only other thing I could have tried would have been to pick up quite fewer stitches around the armhole. So I'm not going to do it again, but I might consider knitting a second one and just doing the size 1 and doing smaller armholes to bring up the hem. And yeah, so that's my sea salt tank. I'm very tired. It's the end of the day. Can you tell? So in all of that talking about it, I realized I forgot to put it on. So here is what the tank top looks like on me. So yeah, you can see there's a good bit of positive ease here, and I'll kind of stand up and show you the length. And it does look very cute, and especially now that I've fixed this a little while ago, I do think I like it a lot more. But I'm going to hold up the top to kind of demonstrate more of how her styled photos look. So you can see mine has a couple more inches around the waist, and it's a few inches longer than hers is. And of course, and I'm not saying this in any criticism of the pattern, every knitter is going to be different. Every person's finished object is going to turn out differently. She probably, as a designer, she probably knit hers 10 times until she got it just right. And this is me just attempting it a few times. But these are more like personal notes to myself, because the longer I've been knitting, the more self-aware I'm trying to be about the kinds of projects that I make. Because I definitely have a ton of sweaters and things that I knit earlier on in my knitting career that I think I knit just because they were fun, and I knit them fast and sort of just sped through them because I could, and I didn't take the time necessarily to make all of the best decisions for the finished object. So yeah, this has been a theme, something I've been talking about more frequently, but it's something I'm thinking about constantly when I'm knitting now. It's much more about being sure that I really like the finished design and that it's going to suit my wardrobe, my body shape, all of those things. Because I don't want to add to my wardrobe unnecessarily. So anyway, that's enough of that. But this is my sea salt tank. It's very beautiful, very easy on the go knitting, very easy to knit with other people around. All in all, it's just a fantastic design. So last but not least, I have one more garment to show you. And this is, of course, a ranunculus by Midori Hirose. I just knit one of these not too long ago. It was my first one, actually. And now I've gone ahead and knit my second one. So the first one that I made was a long sleeve version out of a wool silk blend yarn that I really love. It's a beautiful, vibrant yellow, just so pretty. But whereas I thought that it would be kind of like a summer top, I very quickly learned that that's not really the case, even though the gauge was quite open. If it was a cooler summer day, I could definitely get away with it, but we've had lots of 100-degree days and it just hasn't worked. So I wanted to go ahead and make one more in short sleeves and in a fiber that I could actually feasibly wear. So this version I made out of the We Are Knitters sparkling cotton. I carry We Are Knitters here in my shop, but when I placed my last order, I got like 4 skeins of these little 50-gram balls of this for myself to try before ordering it into the store, because I just kind of wanted, I was already ordering a different cotton, so I wanted to just kind of try this one out and see if it was worth bringing in, and it totally is. This stuff was a dream to work with. It's also really, really pretty. There's probably no way that the camera's picking up right now with this like ring light and the sun is starting to set. There's probably no way that it's picking up all the shimmer, so I'll have to get close and show you. But this project took like no yarn at all. I think maybe I used, I don't know, it's in my Ravelry project page. I knit this at the beginning of June, so it's been a while. But yeah, I'm just so happy. It was a quick little project. It's perfect. I think the shape is so lovely. And if you're familiar with the pattern, as I'm sure you are, I just went ahead and knit with the recommended needle size. I didn't test for gauge or anything. And I'm really happy with the way this one turned out. So let me kind of show you. Up close, I'm sure you can definitely see the sparkle. This is like a burgundy, or it's a maroon colored yarn with a thread of rose gold, I would say, or like copper sparkle running all throughout, and it's just so pretty. So yeah, I'm really happy I made another one. I actually like this one better than my first one, which I didn't think would be possible because I loved that yarn, but this one I just think came out much better, very polished and really cute. So yeah, that's my second ranunculus, probably my last one, but maybe I'll make more in a similar yarn to this in a variety of colors just because it's so cute. So that's my last garment, but I still have plenty of things to show you. I'll show you a quick finished object. These have actually been sitting here in my shop finished for weeks now, and I've really been wanting to wear these around my house. So I'm glad I'm getting to kind of show before I get them filthy. These are just a pair of vanilla socks, but the yarns I absolutely love. Let me turn to my cute little basket from the thrift store real quick and pull out all the yarns that I used. So I actually used 4 different yarns for these little vanilla socks. This was my main skein, so I actually used quite a bit of this. I knit the legs pretty long on these socks, but there's enough here that I could knit, I can definitely knit a little pair for my daughter, who is about to be 2, you guys, in just a few weeks. She's going to be 2. I just turned 28 a couple of days ago. Where is time going? So yeah, that's the main skein. This was from Yarnaceous Fibers Paleo Botany Monthly Club. I think this was the December colorway. And then I used 2 different colors from Knit Picks. This is the Stroll, which is just a 75-25 wool nylon blend. Perfect sock yarn. I think one of these is, I think this is Dogwood Heather, and it's very lightly heathered. It's a light pink, and this is a hot pink. And then my last color, this is my Moon River colorway, which I originally dyed when Gabriella from Merryweather Knitting did her Moon River sock pattern. So this is, I knit that pair of socks and I still had leftovers. So now I've used this many times, I feel like, and it's still going. This is a BFL nylon base. And I still have, again, enough I could make. I love this color combination. It just makes me so happy. So I could almost see, I'm going to be using these 2 for more socks, but I might end up throwing this color in with them again. So yeah, there's the socks. I did a little stripe here in the cuff that I thought was really cute. And I did the heels in that hot pink color, and then the toes with the Moon River colorway again. Yeah, I'm just so happy. And this is another little instance of me feeling like a patient knitter for the first time this year. That's been my focus, being patient and taking the time to fix mistakes, because when I started on the second sock, I thought that I had done the heel at the first sock in my Moon River colorway. So I did the entire heel of the second sock in Moon River, and it wasn't until it was like after I finished the whole heel, I realized that they were different. And so I thought, well, I'll just alternate and I'll do the hot pink here and the Moon River here. But something inside of me said that I would not be satisfied. So I ripped out the heel and I redid it, and now they match perfectly. So yeah, I'm so excited to get to wear these now. I think these are like just the prettiest colors of all time. So very excited. Yeah, I clearly have a pink and green uniform. So my next finished object is one of the most exciting I could possibly present to you, but I actually do not have the physical object, which is kind of devastating because it's something I've been working on for like maybe half of a year. And if you have been watching my channel for any length of time, you will know that I have been working on a surprise wedding shawl for my best friend Kira, who's getting married in November. And so I obviously still had plenty of time before the wedding to gift it to her, but I just felt like I have so much coming up in this year with vending at SAF and her bachelorette party trip to New Orleans, and then of course the wedding, and we have the Alabama Fiber Festival, and I just felt like if I waited at all, it was just going to get away from me. So I went ahead and like right after I recorded the last episode, I just put my all into it, and I finished it very quickly. And so she and I got to go out to a really cool cocktail bar like a couple weekends ago, and I wrapped it up in a pretty white box, and I made a handmade card. Everything was white and silver, and I gifted it to her. So I'm really happy, and I will have definitely inserted all the pictures that I took. I did take pictures. I did try to get some video of it. So hopefully everything I got, I will have been inserting here, and so you can still kind of see it. I will definitely see if when November comes around, and of course this is far away, but hopefully I will get some pictures that she won't mind me sharing of her in her dress, trying it on the shawl. So, you know, I told her that there was no expectation for her to get married in it or even bring it to her wedding or anything like that. But I just wanted her to have something bridal from me, a keepsake that makes her feel warm and loved. And I think that paid off. So I'm so happy there. But she did mention she'll, you know, maybe at least bring it. And so hopefully I'll get some pictures. But yeah, so she seems to have loved it. And so yeah, that's my update on that epic knitting project. I mean, it was intense. It was an all-over lace shawl knit out of lace weight yarn, and the yarn was an alpaca silk blend. It was Malabrigo silk paca. Just gorgeous. Really pleased with it. And there's no better feeling than when you step back and you look at lace after it's all done and everything is correct. I was just so happy about that because there were like 6 or 7 lace charts. And there were hundreds of stitches, especially near the end. It was over 500 stitches for every row, I think. And of course, that's all lace knitting. So yeah, it was intense, but I did it. And now I just feel good about it and I can move on. So just a quick little finished object to show you, or 2 rather. It's Tour de Fleece, which is wonderful. It's been a lot of fun. I've been taking it kind of easy, but still participating. But I did finish these 2 little skeins that I had been working on. And this was a really fun little project. So many moons ago, one of my friends, my online knitting friends, Lucy, it was when I first started spinning, she sent me this gorgeous braid of undyed brown alpaca fiber from a local farm to her that she's familiar with them. She sent me that gorgeous braid. And so a few months ago, I went ahead and spun it up. And I would say I spun it up into a very even yarn. Like, I was very proud of it, but it was definitely like a lace weight. And so of course I knew I wanted to ply it with something else. And so I ended up plying it with 2 different colors. So these both have that brown thread, like the brown ply running through. So I can use these and together, and they have that common thread, if you will, but they are each plied with a different fun color. So back in October, I had gotten from, I think, Revolution Fibers. They do little like 1 ounce sample sizes of different fibers. So these were both little 1 ounce samples. They weren't like samples, but you could buy them in small quantities to try them out. So this one has this really pretty orange tweed. It's like an orange yarn with red neps. And so I plied that thread with the alpaca. And then this one, and the skein looks a little bit crazy, and the little yellow bits are ties. That's not, of course, part of the skein, but this was plied with a really vibrant hot pink fiber that I got from them. So the skein is definitely bigger and heavier than this one, but I actually did end up using like all of the fiber up. So the way that I plied it, everything worked out. So I'm really excited. I might actually use these for a cowl. I think it would be fun to have the pink and orange and brown. But the other thought that I had was maybe some fingerless mitts, and I could do one in each color or combine the colors. But regardless, these are 2 little finished skeins of hand spun that I have. And if you're curious, I spin on a ladybug shocked ladybug wheel. So that was all of my amazing finished objects. I'm really happy with all of the stuff I've been making over the past month. So now we're going to talk about works in progress. I only have, I think, 2 knitting whips to show, and then I have a few cross stitch, and yeah, so let's move on. So quickly, since I was just talking about spinning, this is the fiber braid that I'm currently spinning. So I'm in the middle of spinning one of the singles right now, so I didn't want to bring that bobbin with me. So I just decided to bring the other half of the original braid to show you the colors. This was a gift from my very sweet friend, Marquita. She had sent me, again, when I kind of first started spinning, she had some nest fiber in her stash that she, I guess, wasn't going to use. And so she sent it along my way. And so I'm very excited to be spinning it up. This colorway is called Paper Kites. And this was actually a colorway that I had really wanted from Nest Fiber. So when I saw it, I was just like so excited because I got some. So this is what I'm spinning right now. I'm doing a 2-ply fractal spin. So I have this tail sticking out really long to remind me which end to start with when I start to spin. So where I'm at with this right now is, so when you do a fractal spin like this, you take your braid and you split it down the middle. And so this is one of those halves, but then the other half you split into fourths, and then you spin those end to end going in the same color direction. So I've spun up one of them. I'm almost done with the second. So I'm almost halfway done with that half of the braid, and then I have this whole thing, and then I'll get to apply them up and have a lovely little skein of colorful yarn. So that's my spinning progress. But while I'm just briefly talking about that, I'll show you a little bit more beautiful fiber from Nest Fiber that Marquita just sent me. So once again, I had been subscribed to the Nest Fiber Club for many months, and I decided to cancel my subscription for the time being just because, you know, trying to reel in finances, trying to be considerate of like summer budget and all of that. But I did see, like, right after I canceled, I think is when they came out with this colorway. And I was actually a little bit sad that I missed out because I love it. And so Marquita she knows me so well, and she sent me this gift. I got it a couple days ago, and I just love it. So let me show it to you real quick. This is the Clementine colorway, and it's absolutely precious. It's so pretty. I am all about these pumpkin orange and these turquoise colors recently, and of course pink. So everything about this I just love so much. And this one is a Falkland Merino blend. So I love the hand. It's a really beautiful fiber. So I'm so excited. This will probably be my next spin. So thank you, Marquita. She also sent me the cutest little strawberry stitch markers, and I'm using one of them on a project right now. So thank you, Marquita. I'm so sorry if I'm a little bit all over the place. As anybody who records these YouTube videos knows, any length of time that you like can't record for a while and then you come back, you feel so rusty. It's strange. I've almost made 40 of these videos and still this happens. So anyway, moving on to the knitting whips. Oh, I actually have 3, so that's exciting. The first one I'll show you is in this little project bag that I made myself probably a year ago now. I really love it. It's like a patchwork sort of just quilted bag of all of my favorite fabrics from my stash. Totally love it. So this cast on came about because I have a friend slash customer who she is working on a brioche knitting project, and she sent me a picture of it, and there was a little mistake, and she asked if I would be able to help repair it or like get it back to, you know, where it needed to be at the shop here. So I was like, absolutely. But I knew that I wanted to cast on something and practice before I saw her, because even though I've knit an entire brioche cardigan, that was single color brioche, and I actually had never really fixed a brioche mistake. So with that, the Agni cardigan that I knit, it was single color. So anytime I kind of could see a mistake in the pattern, because I had the mohair and the fuzzy yarns, I just knew that I could kind of sew up if there was like a little spot. And so I wasn't concerned really. So this helped me to actually force myself, I need to learn this skill. So I did. I learned how to fix 2-color brioche. So I went ahead and cast on a 2-color brioche pattern. And this was one that I had just purchased recently that I had been planning to make. So I'm glad that I got around to it. I'm knitting Rebel by Knit Graffiti, and I'm doing the 2-color version. So these are my 2 colors. This is my Moon River colorway, and I decided to use this skein. It wasn't in my stash, but it was one of my like oopsie skeins for the store, because this was on a merino cashmere base and there were some spots that didn't take the dye. So I was either going to sell this discounted or I just decided to use it. And then this is something from my stash, and it looks a lot brighter on the camera because, again, the sun's going down. I'm actually worried I'm going to run out of the light. But this is from Cat Sandwich Fibers, and the colorway is called Pink Pineapple. And here is my progress so far. So I'm making the Pink Pineapple colorway my main color, so that will be the dominant color on the right side of the shawl. And then, of course, because it's that brioche, it's reversible. And it's actually very high contrast, and in person I can see the high contrast, but the camera right now, it's just not showing up super well. But yeah, I think it's so pretty. I'm very excited to have this, and I have actually been totally craving a brioche knit ever since making my Agni cardigan. So this is, again, very exciting. Yeah, I'm still in like the first section, but it's a lot of fun. So that is certainly a fun little work in progress that I cast on just a few days ago. This next little whip, I cast this on last night when I was hosting. There's a group that meets here every other Monday night, and I didn't have any straightforward knitting projects to work on. So I went ahead and cast on this, which was also like a new purchase that I was going to show today, but I'm already using it, so that's great. So I have this amazing project bag. The yarn and the bag are both from Moonlit Yarns, and they did like a poisonous plants collection. So I got this really neat bag with different poisonous plants, and on the inside here I've purchased 1 skein of yarn, and this colorway is Lily of the Valley. And the reason I even found out about this like shop update that they did, I had never even heard of their yarns prior. I saw this pattern pop up on Ravelry called Lily of the Valley by Moonlit Yarns, and it was showing this particular dyed skein of yarn and this little pattern. It's a free cal pattern, but basically it's just like an assigned pooling sort of pattern, very simple, but I really liked it and I thought it was pretty, and I am all about garden things, so I was just drawn in by it, and I had to wait a few months for it to come in, but it came in, and now it's just it entered my stash and it's going right out. So that's great. but it's a beautiful green, and then there's all these undyed white patches. And since this is a free pattern, I'll kind of talk you through it because it's very easy, and this would work with lots of, this would work with any kind of like assigned pooling yarn. Basically, this is just, you cast on 130 stitches, long tail cast on, do 8 rows of ribbing, and then once you get into the main portion of the cowl, you knit all of the green stitches and you purl all of the white stitches. So as you're knitting it, you just kind of take a look at your yarn strand that's coming up. Like right here, I see that there's about to be a patch of white, and so I know that I would just knit the green until I get to that little white section, and then I purl. And I just kind of purl the length of that section. And so it's all very random, but it's supposed to look like a little field of flowers, just like how lily of the valley grow. So I am very drawn in by this project, and it's perfect right now because Gabriella and I are still hosting our Botanical Makealong. So everything about this, really everything about most of the projects that I'm sharing today suits that theme, but that's just like me as a maker and as a person. Yeah, so this is nice, very straightforward. I think I probably could have finished this today had I not worked on the I-cord of my sea salt tank. Super easy pattern, and I really like it. I don't have any basic cowls like this. I have lots of doodle cowls, like double-sided doodle cowls by Jamie Lomax, Pacific Knit Co. And so this will be nice to just have something a little bit simple, single-sided, and we'll see how I like the style of cowl. So that's that quick little work in progress. And the next one I have to share, my last knitting whip right now. So I only have 3. Yeah. It's so fun. I'm so excited. So the last time I was here, I showed you guys all of the yarns that I had been slowly collecting from different dyers over the past several months for the heirloom quilt cardigan by Catherine Seeberger. And I have started on mine, and I love it. So let me show you the little blocks that I have made so far. And I apologize because they are not yet blocked, and most of them do not have their ends woven in yet, but I hope that you will forgive me and still enjoy looking at them. So I'm making the smaller size because this cardigan has 3 sizes, but there's lots of ease options, and because it's all seamed and it's patchwork, even though there's only 3 sizes, you can very easily adjust how many squares you make to get either a wider or longer or narrower or shorter, version of the cardigan. So I'm making the size 1, which will still give me plenty of ease. And I'm going to just go ahead and make as many of these squares as she recommends. And then I'll lay them all out before I seam them together and just make sure that I like the sizing of it and all of that. So this is a green on green. This one is like a peachy cream color with this beautiful rusty orange. This is that light green, like pistachio, with a deep dark brown. Here we've got that pistachio with that rusty red brick orange color. This one is the dark chocolate brown with the peachy cream color. And this one is like a mauvey brown with that foresty green. So I think that's all the ones I've made so far. And I've been kind of laying them out next to one another and just kind of seeing how all the colors are going to play with each other. And I'm so happy with everything about it. So I'm using 6 different colors, and I think they're all, there's like a combination of pinks and greens and browns. And I just think that they are all gorgeous together. They're working out very well. So I'm holding for each of these, you're doing 2 strands of each color. So I've got like 2 strands of the main color, if you will, and like 2 strands of the contrast. So it's a DK weight gauge, but again, it's all double stranded. So these are 2 of my colors. These are both from Fuzzy Peach Fibers. This was the Joshua Tree collection. I think this one was Manzanita. This one is Sunbaked. This one is also from Fuzzy Peach. This is the Creme de Pêche. And that's it from Fuzzy Peach Fibers. So 3 colors from Fuzzy Peach Fibers. And then I have 2 colors from Explore Knits. I think this one is called Forest Floor. And, oh no, they're going everywhere. This colorway is called Nutcracker, like a mauvey beige. And this one is from Treehouse Knits, and this one is from the Office Collection, and it's called Nard Dog. So that's my color palette. I am definitely making progress on this. Each of these squares, I think, takes me about an hour to make. So not too bad, but I have to make, I won't say the exact number, but it's in the 30s. So I do have several more hours ahead of me of knitting, and then of course I'll have to seam those together, do the ribbing and the sleeves, but as long as I steadily make progress on these squares, it shouldn't take me too long. I should just make this a focus project, but we'll see. I have desires to cast things on. Those are all of my knitting whips, and the sun is really starting to go down, so I need to speed it up here. I have cross stitch whips to show you now. These I think I'll be able to talk through a lot more quickly. So we'll go ahead and get started. I have 4 cross stitch whips to share. A little stack here. We'll start with what's on top. So this one I was working on this morning, and this has the least amount of progress, but it's actually maybe the one I'm the most excited for. This one is called The Unicorn's Garden by Sprouting Lupin. And if you recall, when I first started on this one, I was actually using, I should have brought it to show, but I had sort of a more navy blue linen, and I was working on the unicorn, but it was my first time working on the on linen, and so there was a learning curve, and I knew I needed to like start over because I had miscounted, and it was really just a practice. So I decided to start over, and I wanted to use a color of linen that I thought was better for this pattern because the navy blue, it wasn't quite right. So I got a new, this is an 1/8 of a yard. I'm using 28 count. And this is, the colorway is called Herald. This is Picture This Plus casual linen. And so it's really beautiful. There are so many little motifs to stitch in here. I'm working on some of the flowers right now, but I've started on the unicorn's body. I'm most excited to stitch the unicorn. So that's that so far. I'm using this Teresa Kogut fabric project bag. I found this on Etsy. I want a unicorn bag. I just haven't had a chance to make one or buy one. This is my floss drop for it. So here are all of the gorgeous colors that will be in this design. I'm using all of the called for DMC flosses, and I just think this is so pretty. If you like this floss drop, stay tuned because I will be bringing their products into my shop. So you'll be able to get different things from them for spinning, knitting, cross-stitching, all of that. Here at my shop or on my website. But that's my my floss drop. So I'm very excited about this color palette. It's going to be so whimsical and gorgeous. And this will be something I will definitely frame. So the next one I have to share is something I was working on previously too. Here's a project bag that I made. I love this fabric so much. It's just incredible, and it's perfect for this project, I think. So I hadn't been putting any work into this, but Marjorie from Marjorie Made, who's here on YouTube and on Instagram, she does a, what is it called? Pick-a-whip. And basically she gives you a prompt every month for a project to work on. And this month's theme, and maybe she does 2 a month, like maybe every 2 weeks, I don't know. But this theme is bugs. It's picking a project that has insects or bugs, which is like my favorite theme ever. And I have all kinds of projects that I want to make, like the Sprouting Lupin has these beautiful designs for Luna moths and beetles and just great stuff. But I had this one already going, so I picked this up. This is my Fallout. It's like a vintage Fallout sampler, I think is what they're calling it. This is from Jack the Stitcher, who I found on Etsy, and she has other Fallout designs. But if you like Fallout, you'll probably love this. So it's going to be a pretty big piece. This is it's sort of very tedious stitching. It's monochrome. I'm only using one DMC, and I'm stitching this on 16 count Aida. This is Forbidden Fiber Co. in the, I think the colorway is called Evening Mauve. And then this is DMC floss that I picked that I thought was suitable for this fabric. It's very lightly dyed, really this color. It's just, again, it's very light. But this one has a bug because down here where I'll have this big diamond sampler piece, this motif, it's these rad roaches from the game. So of course this was fitting. And I did take a little break from there to come up here and do the power armor helmet. And I've got a stitch, there's like a heart that goes around it, which is what I'm working on right now. So yeah, there's lots of fun little things to put on here. I'm playing through Fallout 3 again right now, so it's been kind of fun to play it while stitching this, and yeah, I'm getting kind of immersed in that world a little bit again. So yeah, that one's fun. The next one is also really fun. This is the ongoing mystery stitch along, hosted and designed by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. The pattern is called Arctic Adventurers, and the theme is basically like an Arctic animals almanac kind of style. So we are just a few days away from Clue 3 release, and I've basically finished Clue 2. So I have been completing the first 2 clues on time so far, so I hope I'll get to keep up with that rhythm. The only thing I'm missing is I have to stitch the little box, the label, where the walrus is. So I should be able to get that done tomorrow really easily, and then just do the back stitching for to write walrus. But so far, this was Clue 1. We have an Arctic fox, and we have a vole. Super cute. You can kind of see what's going on here. I love the little face, and these two are just relaxing. But then we've got this walrus guy. He's so cute. This was very tedious to stitch. There's 2 shades of brown in here that you can probably see a little bit. But it was just, I mean, I started down here and I worked my way up. And so it was kind of fun seeing him come to life. But it was like lots of stitching with gray and then lots of stitching with brown. And then I got the pleasure of doing the cute little face. So it was like worth all of this when I got up here. And I just adore this. The fabric I'm using is from the kit. It's a 14 count Aida from Picture This Plus. The color is called Nocturne. And I think the next clue is going to be right up here. So we finished designating the width of this pattern. So this is as wide as it will be. And then we're going to work up here. And then I think it was like down here. And there's going to be 11 parts to this. So I'll still be working on this for the next several months. So yeah, excited about that. Oh, I have a project bag that I made for this one too. This was the first ever bag I made. So it's not nearly as neat as the bug bag that I showed, but still absolutely adorable. It's all Arctic animal themed. So we've got little puffins and igloos and the inside fabric. This is my floss drop. This came with the kit and all of my DMCs. And then the inside fabric has like narwhals and Arctic hares and puffins, and so cute. So I love how the theme just comes together so well. If you guys haven't noticed about me yet, I love themes, so loving that. And then I've got one more project. Goodness, I can tell I'm getting frantic, so I'm sorry. I'm gonna try to take a deep breath. This last project is in this gorgeous bag. This was the first project bag that I purchased. I got this on Etsy, and it's so beautiful. This is a new start. This one I love. So I think that I'm stitching this on Lugana, but I can't remember exactly, but I think it is. It's definitely not Aida. I think it's Lugana. It has a tighter weave. I don't know. This might be like a 28 count. And it was nice and stretched out because it had been in my Q-snap frame. So it was nice and taut, but now it's been folded up for maybe a week or 2 since I last stitched on it. But this is called Coffee and Eggs by the Artsy Housewife, and I'll have put up a picture. This one has just had my heart since I first started cross stitching, so I'm really excited to be working on it, and I've made a ton of progress. The color palette is so pretty, and you know, anything coffee themed I already love, but there's going to be this really pretty like retro rainbow and this beautiful woman in this gorgeous dress, and it's just really fun. I love the colors, and I will definitely be framing this and putting it up somewhere in my house, and I can't wait. Here's my floss drop for this, so you can see all of the different colors that I'm using. And I love this palette. It's like fun, but so you've got like that retro rainbow kind of feel, and then there's lots of beautiful neutrals, and there's another one of these little dials. This one has the unicorn. I wish I could have used this for my unicorn project, but there were too many flosses, so it is what it is, but I love this project. So now that I have successfully talked about everything I'm working on, everything I've finished, I can just spend a few minutes showing you a couple of little things that I've picked up, and then talking briefly about my upcoming plans for making, and then I'm going to sign off. So again, I have this whole big basket here. Some of this was stuff I've already kind of talked through, but I do have a few things here to show you that I've either purchased or I won, or yeah. First, I want to show you when we did Knit in Public Day at the Hoover Library. They always do these door prizes, or like raffle prizes, basically, door prizes. And I always donate prizes. So this year I donated 2 skeins of my yarn and one of my new project bag designs. And I always feel really good because people will come to me and say like, I put all of my tickets in for your prize. And that just, again, that makes me feel really good. So I was really excited. I'm always really excited to like see who wins and see how excited they are. So that felt really good. This was the first year where I actually put tickets in for the raffle. So normally I've never asked to join, and I've just kind of figured, well, I probably shouldn't because I'm a vendor, but there were so many prizes, and they actually came to me, the hosts, and they were like, here, you need to do some tickets. So I was, of course, very excited. I was like, okay, well, I guess. And so I went over, and there was one thing that I saw that really had my heart. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to put all of my tickets in here, whatever. And of course, it ended up being like the last prize that they drew of the whole day. I think that maybe the second to last. And we're talking lots of prizes. Now, of course, I wasn't going anywhere because I was vending, so I was going to have to pack up my booth. But you know, by the time it got to the last one, I kind of was getting my hopes up a little bit, and I got the prize. So I'm so excited. So it's this cute little pink bag from Jimmy Bean's Wool. It says the new Microbrews 2017 Jimmy Bean's Wool. I'm not sure what this is from, but it's really cute. But within it, there are 4 skeins of gorgeous yarn, and then there were all these little stitch markers that had numbers on them. Very nice and handy, but they're over there. But I've got 4 skeins of yarn from the Plucky Knitter. Plucky Knitter. Never used their yarn before. But I've got 4 different yarns here. These 2 are 430 yards, 75-25 merino cashmere, and the base I think is called Oxford 2.0. So these are a fingering weight. This one is called Take a Hike, a beautiful green, much like greens that I'm already drawn to. And this one is Pumpkin Patch. So it says these are from the fall palette. Very, very pretty, so soft. Cannot wait to try these out. And then these ones are the Primo fingering base. These are 385 yards, and they are 75-25 superwash merino cashmere nylon. This colorway is Tulip Time, and this one is Ogre, which I thought was hilarious, but just a gorgeous palette of yarns. And I was so excited when they called my name. When they called my number on my raffle ticket. I was like walking up there, and they were like, hello, is that number here? And I almost couldn't speak, and I was like, it's me, Shannon, it's me. So it was so fun. That was a nice little treat, to be sure, because I have reached a point where I'm really not buying yarn just because owning a yarn store and being a dyer, I have plenty of yarn, and I really need to focus on knitting more of the yarns that I dye for samples. I felt that way for a long time, but I've just been drawn in by other dyers, and I still want to support them, but I really need to start knitting with my yarn. So it was kind of nice to get a little treat like that. And then I have two bags to show you. So first of all, I was looking for a walking and knitting bag. I sell some here in my shop, but I was actually looking for a pattern because I make these now, but I make ones that are much bigger. But I happened upon this ready-made one. Of course, it's handmade, but this was from a maker in Canada. They're called Jezebel B, and they're from Quebec. But this is using one of my favorite fabrics of all time that I've never actually gotten to purchase because it's out of print and you can only buy it. It's pretty expensive to buy it these days. You can still get it, but it's pricey. So I just thought I'll just buy this and get to enjoy this fabric, and I'll have the perfect little knitting bag. So I'm going to use this for sock knitting, and I just love it. So cute. And then there's another bag maker who I've had my eye on for a while called Rose and the Wren, and I had never caught one of their updates before. But when they showed a picture of this very sweet little bag with the strawberries and the knitting basket and the little teapot, I just could not resist. So I was glad that I was able to pick this up. It's got this gingham fabric and black and white or like beige and white pinstripes with their label, and the inside is really pretty. So everything about this is just gorgeous. Very impressed by the design here. So I'm so glad that I got to pick this one up. I actually have one more bag, and I blame Jamie of Pacific Knit Co. for this because so I have become just so enthralled with all things quilting, patchwork quilting, Ruby Star Society, all of these things I love. I made a quilt, you may have seen this a few months ago, made out of a Ruby Star Society jelly roll, and ever since then it's just all about quilting in my head. I don't have the time right now to do it, but I want to. Anyway, Jamie shared this maker. She got a bag like this, and it's all these little selvage edges from different cuts of fabric, and I just thought it was so cute. And she had just had an update, so this was still in her Etsy shop. This is called Mandy Andy Designs. So if you're looking for bags like this, this maker had some. Even the inside fabric is so cute. So it's definitely not big enough to be a project bag, but I can hold little notions. Like I have some stitch markers in here right now, and I could use it I could use this inside of a knitting bag if I wanted to. So apparently I've been going a little bag crazy. The only other things that I have to share are 2 cuts of fabric for cross stitch. I never thought that I would necessarily want something like this, but Bad Stitched has, they're a designer that I found on Instagram. They have a Patreon, and this has been the year of the cicada broods, like the double brood. It's just been so fun. And here where I live in Alabama, I got thousands of cicadas this summer. So I really wanted to do a cicada cross stitch, and it just so happened that this designer came out with this gorgeous like multicolor one. It's beautiful. So I joined their Patreon just long enough to get the pattern, and I picked up the same fabric that she used. So it is this sparkly fabric. This is a hand-dyed Ada from, well, here's the details here. And it's just really fun. So it's got this green thread running through the Ada, and the only thing is, of course, just like all hand-dyed things, every cut of fabric is going to be a little bit different. My fabric doesn't really have any of the purple like the designer of the pattern had in her version. So I wish I had gotten a little bit of the purple, but I do have some lighter sections here. So it's going to be kind of a smaller piece. So I think I'll stitch it right up in this area so I can get some of the light and dark of the fabric. But yeah, so I'm so excited to stitch this one up. I'll probably go ahead and do this one before the next video because it's kind of a small, so I can probably go ahead and finish the whole thing and have a little fully finished stitch. And then one more designer, Jed X Stitch, came out with the most gorgeous design. I'm hopefully sharing pictures of all of these things, but I'll also link it below. It's called Strawberry Mountain, and it's almost like the corner of a quilt. There's like these little squares, and there's strawberries, and there's moths, and it's so pretty. So I absolutely am going to stitch that one. So I went ahead and picked up the same fabric that she used, but I got a different count. So she stitched her sample on 40 count. I have not yet done that, so I got 32 count. This is fiber on a whim, and the colorway is brick. I got a fat quarter because that was the smallest size I could find. I'm going to have lots of this left over, but it's this gorgeous color. It is, I think it's showing up a little bit more yellow on camera, where it's more of a reddish brown in person, but it's absolutely gorgeous, and I love the feeling of this. So I haven't tried fiber on a whim yet. I'm excited to try out their linen. So that will be a gorgeous project. And then plans. I'm going this weekend to see the Stardew Valley concert. So I have had this gorgeous skein in my stash now for probably a year. I think it's been exactly a year. This is from Nerdy Knits, and this is the prismatic shard colorway. I know she got to go, we've talked about it, she got to go to the concert a couple of months ago in Seattle, and Concerned Ape, who's the creator of the game, he was there, and she got to gift him a hat that she knit for him out of her Stardew Valley yarn. That's sort of her thing. Yeah, she's real sweet, so you should definitely check out her Instagram. But I've had this skein, and I attached my little prismatic shard stitch marker. I use this all the time. It's something from the game. And so I'm going to bring these with me and probably knit a pair of socks. Originally, when I purchased the skein, my plan was to actually knit the prismatic sweater, which is by Woolen Pine Designs. And I was going to use this in the little prismatic shards that go around the yoke. And now that I'm looking at it, I might still do it, but I'm kind of thinking I maybe wouldn't wear all of these colors right next to my face like that, depending on how it pools. So I have a couple days to think about it. I might save it and use it in that sweater yoke.
Okay, so I did decide I'm going to make the prismatic sweater by Woolen Pine Designs. That was what I originally bought this yarn for, and I just knew I would be sad if I did not see that project to fruition. I mean, this yarn is called Prismatic Shard, which of course is from Stardew Valley. So what better pattern than the prismatic sweater? And so I'm so excited. All of the little prismatic shards in the sweater will be outlined in this deep black yarn. And my main color is my Love Letter colorway. So I'm going to gather up all of my amazing stitch markers, my Stardew Valley stitch markers. This one is from Simply Serving, my dear friend Lindsay. She sent me her whole collection of these guys. So the rest of them are at home. I'm going to have to get those together in a project bag. And then I have a prismatic shard. So I'm very excited for this.
If I use it in the sweater yoke, I'm still going to bring it with me, and hopefully my husband will drive to Atlanta and I can cast on the sweater and enjoy my little Stardew Valley like memory project for our little trip. And then I really want to get some other sweaters on the needles. I've been making lots of summer tops. I've made five summer tops this year, which is pretty great because I actually never made any before this year, I don't think. So I feel like I have now a good, comfortable sort of wardrobe of choices, and that's great. But I definitely have lots of sweater goals that I would like to meet. I have a huge stash of sweater quantities. I actually did cast on a sweater out of one of my Brooklyn Tweed shelter sweater quantities, and I got a couple of inches into the hem. It was bottom up, and I realized that it just wasn't working out, so I ripped it all out. And again, I'm not usually one to do that, but I really feel like that shows how I am maturing as a person and a crafter, and just being more, I guess, mindful of the way that I'm using my materials and my time. And I'm actually really happy with the fact that I ripped that out, and I never thought I would say that, but it felt good to just take it off the needles and not worry about it. So now I'm going to find a different pattern for that yarn, and so I have that to look forward to. All kinds of knitting plans. We'll see what I come up with between now and the next time I get to record. And with that, I think I have shared everything that I have the breadth and bandwidth to share. So again, thank you guys for hanging out with me and for helping me reach 2,000 subscribers. That's really cool. I hope that I'll see some of you at SAF. In fact, I know I will, but in October when I'm vending at the Southeastern Animal Fiber Fair in Asheville, North Carolina, that area. I hope I'll get to see some of you guys there. And then, of course, we'll have the Alabama Fiber Festival, the first one ever, November 2nd. So those are kind of the places you can see me this year if you would like to shop my yarns in person. But you can always shop them online, and I did just do a fiber update, and I do have project bags coming, so just stay tuned. All right, well, I hope that you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks for spending time with me. Talk to you next time. Bye.
Show me what's over there.